Guayo and baby. Guayo. The Louis Agent Skyhouse, Moneybanks, Push Tiber, Holly, Wallace, and Shu Murphy. I'm used to doing it like this. But anyways, we're all adapting right now. My hands also hurt a bunch, so I'm just rolling slow. But I have to put this out because I'm meant to. So without further ado, Port of Saints, William Burroughs. Mi importante, nyo. Y nada más que ñu. Mi importante, ñu. Y nada más que ñu. Still singing. Yeah, I guess I'm not supposed to give you the whole story. You can look it up. This is a good fable for all of you to learn from right now. And while I understand this was written when it was written, and so there's massive trigger warnings on the fact that this was written by a queer white man in the 30s. Y'all can take that however you want. And that's with love to Niskalic, Billy Burroughs. Still singing. Inara makenyo. With inhuman speed, dodging, stiff-arming, he takes off across the mountains, outdistancing his 60 pursuers. New will give you superhuman performance for 6 hours. You're the writer, Wild Boy Takeover, State of New Mexico. Vigilantes of Norms, Mike Finn, Parry, Reservation, Rage, spitting hate at empty space, killed all animals. What are you looking at so funny, Jed? You can read my mind, maybe? You seem to know more about that sort of thing than I do, Homer. Several 100,000 norms slaughtered each other on the spot, then Mike Finn took over. We must pull up the very concept of paranormal experience by its infected roots. William Burroughs, The Soft Machine. You come with me, mister, to greet the garbage man and the dawn. Gel the dawn? Traced fossil countenance everlastingly about the back door, mister. Dead postcards swept out by typewriters. Clatter hints as we shifted commissions. Hurry up, please, crawling inexorably towards its goal. I, we, they. Great divine. I, we, they sit quietly in last terrace of the garden. The neon sun sinks in its sharp smell of carrion, circling albatross, peeled noon, refused like ash. Ghosts of Panama clung to our throats, coughing and spitting in the fractured air. Falling through space between worlds, we twisted slowly to black lagoons, flower floats and gondolas, tentative crystal city iridescent in the dawn wind. Adolescents ejaculate over the tide flats. Dead postcards, are you thinking of? What thinking? Peeled noon and refused like ash? Hurry up, please. Make yourself a bit smart. Who is the third that walks beside you to a stalemate of black lagoons and violet light? Last man. Transformation. It's real. Where do we fall to? Oh, we fall to a couple places. Leonard Keane, Star Language, Celtic Factor Red, Gaelic, the living descendants of the northern peoples are groping in universal darkness their mother mourns. Our dark occasion forebodes when weakness in high places will revive a high cost of living, an interval of mistakes in high places, an interval fit for distressing events. Gel. Nan. I reflected, very deeply afraid. I was so at sea, had so few answers. Thing was pushing me to keep challenging. If no one suspects that a panther in the woods does not act well. Dora Ruffner. We work by ancient ways. The abandonment of nature religions was the outcome of the loss of a clear, unified, and true understanding of the universe. Check your mail, Connor. Of the Hellier crew. That's elemental. Where do we go to this big baby? Where do you want to go? The old man told us excerpts from Mi'kmaq history, 1500, 1950, Ruth Whitehead Holmes. Where are we going? Someone wants to be sassy today. Flip. So that's fine. How we teach one another terrible things. Right hand and not the left to cross ourselves. And what did he use, I ask you? You have all been witness. He is therefore not a Catholic, but an Englishman. Lach, you. Wala. They replied, what you say is true. We had not noticed. Take him, Nogomij. He is yours. So the wretch was handed over at once to the woman who, like so many furies, seized him and tied him to a tree trunk with his legs bound together. They built a very hot fire in front of and very near him, and seizing blazing branches, they applied them to the soles of his feet, which they had stretched out to the fire. Then you would have seen them screeching insults at the pitiful screams of this poor wretch, taking live coals and putting them on the most sensitive parts of his body, leaping and dancing round him, using their knives to cut him deeply and painfully about the back and shoulders, taking him away from the fire when they saw his heart failing, bringing him back to once he had regained consciousness, plunging his charred feet and legs into the cauldron of boiling water, and then scalping him. They were unable to make him suffer more, because he died after the last torture, but they did cut out his tongue, even though he was dead, planning to force another English prisoner, an old man who was destined for the same fate, to eat it. Now this is by Mi'kmaq Pierre Anton Simon Maillard, letter Madame de Drucourt, N.D. I'm having so much deja vu. In Les Soirées Canadines, 1863, 319, 320, translated for this publication by Margaret Ann Hamelin. This is my people did this to the English because of what the English did to us. But we were like that before that because we fought with Mohawk for longer than what any of us know. And that ended the same way any evil we do to one another ends. Oh, I guess I'm going with the cherry. Tabus Intak is the place pointed out on the map by Ben Brooks as the identical spot where wemajita'si killed Ohohwe, Mi'kmaq, Mohawk, Wowens. He had been there and seen the rock on which tradition says the Gwedech's head was smashed. It lies about in the center of the sandbar that stretches along in front of the mouth of the river outside of the lagoon. The stone is of singular form, hollow on the top like a dish, and from this stone, and the circumstance related, the place has ever since borne the name Batgwe-da-gunuk. Batgwe-da-gunuk. I'll get some good at that. Batgwe-da-gunuk, which no English word can easily translate. It indicates very poetically that on this rock a fellow's head was split. An anvil comes nearest to it. My informant has not seen the rock since he was a small boy, but the form and the associations connected with it are indelibly fixed upon his memory. This is also from Mi'kmaq. Silas Rand, Legend of the Mi'kmaq. 1894, 212, 215. And that may be... oh no, there's one last one. What do you do, my children, before the arrival of the Europeans in this region? How did you occupy yourselves? How did you spend your time? It never changes, but it will now, so well I'll for that, because now you know better. Father, before your arrival in these parts, where God decreed we should be born, and where we have grown like the grass and the trees you see around you, our most constant occupation was to hunt all sorts of animals as to eat of their flesh, and to cover ourselves with their skins. We hunted both small... Genasi. And also Genasi. We hunted both small and large game birds, and chose the best and most wit feathered birds to make ornaments for our, I always almost say nita because my head is my friend, but nunchi. We killed only enough animals and birds to sustain us for one day, and then the next day we set out again. But never think that our hunting was as arduous as it is today. All we needed to do in those times was to leave our wigwams, and sometimes with our arrows and spears, and sometimes without. And a very short distance from our village, we would find all we needed. If at any time we did not wish to eat meat, we would go to the lakes or rivers nearest our village, or go to the near seashore, and then we would catch all sorts of fish to eat. Eel was our favorite catch, as it is even today. It mattered not one bit to us whether the meat was cooked or raw, and if we found we had only tough meat at any time, we would cut and tear it into strips, which we would pound on broad flat stones unless we were able to chew and swallow it easily. Because, you know, we're just chilling all day long, not really having to be concerned about anything except for that our food is nice and we look good. We would leave solid flesh fish like sturgeon halibut to rot for a time, after which we ate it like all other food. Do you know the amazing things this does for your immune system? Other countries know. At night, when we met together, we would feast on meat roasted on a fire we light by briskly rubbing sun-dried pine wood in our hands. You rub two sticks together. In our hands for a long time. Sometimes, if the fire did not start as soon as we wished, we would go to the seashore to gather those white pebbles that are so abundant there. We would each take 2 of these, strike them against each other over the powder rotten dried pine wood, and we'd have fire then, without fail. Because if you're rubbing the sticks together and it doesn't work, guess what? You now have extra, and so therefore you go and get your light. Allah tease me. Allah said that. So, seeing as we're also intent on paying attention suddenly to our history, but not, and I think the History channels are trying right now to get y'all to listen, but I don't know if it includes indigenous anything in what's getting shown. So I'm going to tell you to do something. I want you to look into who you are in your history right now. If you have no idea where you came from, then Miss Gay, I get that. But I will tell you that if you look, things will call to you. And this is your time to do that. Because while you do that, you're going to have to get to know what everybody else is going through. And we're going to have to listen to one another and respect one another during it. Because otherwise, we're not coming out of this. Because otherwise, what we're seeing right now of people literally killing themselves, literally, themselves and other people now, over money. It will not get better if you keep that game up. You want to keep running yourself into that wall. The only thing that's going to end is you. And so I say this with my love for you. Kisalullah. Walalia. Do what you're meant to do. If I've contacted you at any point, and you need to get back to me, do. If you've contacted me, I will be getting back to you when I am meant to. Because we all know now, the only... Well, no, there is no rush. Because where are you going? Really? And the less stressed out you are, the less it weighs on the people that have to be out in this to do their job. So let's chill. I like this, man. I think that was it. So with that, I'm going to have my away. I don't have my phone on me. Later on, guys, I'll show you the app that I use to learn all this. But anyways, mntu.